You know what the most revealing moment in politics is? It's not when a leader wins, it's when a leader stops being able to hide. And right now, we're witnessing Donald Trump at that exact inflection point where the mask is slipping, where the machinery is grinding to a halt, and where the people meant to cover for him are actively broadcasting his collapse live on cable television. But instead of acknowledging the crisis, his administration and his media enablers have pivoted to something so absurd it borders on dystopian. They're giving him fictional awards while Fox News hosts claim God orchestrated a pandemic so Trump could throw parties at the White House. This is what happens when power runs out of legitimacy. It runs out of...
Shows on a scale of excellent, good, only, fair, or poor, how would you rate economic conditions today? And if you combine only, fair, and poor, you get 76% on that poll. And then we have who is more responsible for current economic...
36%. That's Trump's approval rating. 60% of Americans disapprove. But here's what makes this collapse different from ordinary political setbacks. It's not concentrated in one area. It's metastatic. It's everywhere. Crime, Trump's underwater. Foreign policy, tanking, trade negotiations, a disaster, immigration, the literal centerpiece of his political identity, his North Star, his reason for returning to office. Americans disapprove of his handling by 25 points. This isn't a weakness in his armor. This is the armor disintegrating. And politically, this number represents a seismic shift. Trump no longer has enough residual power to protect people. Congressional Republicans are doing the calculus in real time. They realize the president's endorsement is now a liability, not an asset. The shield has become a target. That's the environment in which what comes next makes a certain twisted sense. When a political movement has nothing real to show for its time in power, when the promises haven't materialized, when people are still struggling, when wars still rage, when prices still spike, that's when the theatrics begin. That's when you need to manufacture something. That's when you need a story that doesn't quite match reality, but moves fast enough that people can't examine it too closely.
Now, if the FIFA Peace Prize doesn't ring a bell for you, it's probably because it is a brand new award. It was announced last month by FIFA, which is the global governing body for soccer. You've heard of it because it's been plagued by scandal and corruption allegations in the last decade. This year's awardee, the president, is someone whom FIFA says has taken, quote, exceptional and extraordinary actions for peace, and by doing so have united people around the world, unquote. How the winner's chosen, however, is not clear, but FIFA President Gianni Infantino, who presented President Trump the award, happens to be a good friend of the president's, and all of this leads many to believe that the award was basically created for President Trump, given his fixation on someday winning a Nobel Peace Prize.
Enter FIFA's brand new Peace Prize, unveiled at the 2026 World Cup draw in Washington, D.C. in early December. This is remarkable because FIFA, the international governing body of soccer, apparently looked around the planet at the countless conflicts, humanitarian crises, displacement, suffering, and decided that what the world needed was a peace award for Donald Trump, not for someone who negotiated an actual ceasefire, not for someone who brought warring parties together successfully, not for someone with a documented track record of reducing violence, for Trump, a brand new award category, created specifically to give him something to hold up and call a victory. Let's look at what they claim he's being honored for, because the gap between the justification and the reality is the entire story. FIFA credits Trump with efforts toward peace in Gaza. Gaza is actively at war. Civilians are still dying. Humanitarian conditions are still deteriorating. They credit him with reducing the Russia-Ukraine conflict. That war continues daily. Thousands are still fighting. Trump himself has claimed he's settled 8 wars in his first 10 months back. But ask any independent observer, any humanitarian organization, any conflict monitor, and they'll tell you the same thing. These aren't settled conflicts. They're ongoing conflicts. Trump didn't resolve them. He just said he did, and FIFA created an award to validate the claim.
Mr. President, this is your prize. This is your Peace Prize. There is also a beautiful medal for you that you can wear everywhere you want to go.
Right now.
Okay, let me hold. Fantastic. Excellent.
This is truly one of the great honors of my life. And beyond awards, Johnny and I were discussing this. We saved millions and millions of lives.
But here's where it gets genuinely dark. While this fake peace medal was being placed around Trump's neck, his administration was actively engaged in conduct that international law experts are explicitly calling war crimes. Trump has authorized 22 airstrikes in the Caribbean against vessels his administration claims are drug smugglers. These strikes have killed at least 86 people. These are undeclared military operations, no congressional approval, no formal warfare declaration, just assassination by drone, administered in international waters, kept mostly secret, justified in closed briefings. And the legal consensus is unambiguous. These are unlawful extrajudicial killings. They're illegal. They violate international law. And they happened while Trump was being given a medal for peace.
Like Secretary Hegseth, as I mentioned, you are an Iraq War veteran. What's your reaction?
Well, there was actually a vote by Congress to put us at war in Iraq and Afghanistan. There was no such vote. There was no such debate here in this situation. So the fact that we do have professionals, our military men and women are the utmost professionals. The problem is they've not been authorized to be at war. And by the way, the individuals in that vote were not even aimed at the United States. So everything that they've done has been illegal. It's illegal.
This is the cognitive dissonance at the heart of modern American politics. A man can be receiving global honors for peacemaking on one side of his schedule while ordering illegal military operations on the other. And the apparatus, the media, the propaganda infrastructure, the Fox News machinery doesn't point out the contradiction. It doesn't ask the obvious questions. It just broadcasts both things separately and pretends they're not speaking to each other. When you can't defend your actual record, you attack someone else's. When the numbers are this bad, you change the subject. This is Politics 101, and Fox News has it down to a science. So while Trump's approval is collapsing across every demographic, while his base is fracturing, while Republicans in Congress are distancing themselves, one of Fox's most reliable propagandists, Jesse Waters, has launched into a relentless assault on Gavin Newsom. The California governor has become the subject of constant attacks, constant criticism, constant negative framing. And here's the beautiful part from a distraction standpoint. It works. The news cycle pivots. People start arguing about Newsom instead of asking why Trump's approval has cratered.
Newsom's masquerading as a swashbuckling meme lord to mock Trump and get attention on Twitter. But McCarthy says he just goes where the wind blows.
There's no principle behind him. He's a chameleon. He'll change as the weeks go by. He wants to be president, and he thinks this is his road.
Trump's always been the same guy.
But let's talk about what ordinary people are actually experiencing while Fox News is busy attacking governors and celebrating fake awards. Grocery prices in America have experienced their most dramatic surge in nearly 3 years. Coffee prices have skyrocketed over 20% in a single year. Bananas are more expensive. Eggs are more expensive. Basic staples have become luxury items for millions of families. And Trump's tariff policies are accelerating all of this. Tariffs function as a hidden tax on every imported good, which means every shopping trip is getting more expensive. The cost of living crisis is real, and it's deepening. And healthcare? Trump and Republicans passed legislation that the Senate Finance Committee describes as producing the largest healthcare cuts in history. Over 2 million Americans will lose coverage. Hundreds of billions have been eliminated from healthcare funding. Starting in January 2026, more than 20 million Americans will pay an average of $700 more per year in premiums. There is no alternative Trump healthcare plan. There's only destruction of the current system.
Up at the North Pole when it comes to this. More responsible for the current economy. 62% of Americans say it's Donald Trump. Just 32% say it's Joe Biden. Look, Donald Trump did, in fact, inherit an economy from Joe Biden, but now we are nearly a year into the Donald Trump administration. If the Trump administration is trying to push the buck over there, simply put, the American folks aren't buying it. They say at this point it is Donald Trump's economy and what is happening in terms of inflation.
So what is Fox celebrating international sporting events? They're genuinely thrilled that the UFC is hosting a fight at the White House. They're enthusiastic about the Olympics coming to Los Angeles. They're celebrating that the World Cup is being held in the United States. These are logistics. These are decisions made by international organizations and previous administrations. But Fox News is presenting them as Trump personal achievements, as if he individually willed these events into existence, as if his return to power magically caused soccer and fighting sports to locate themselves in American cities. And then on December 6, 2025, a Fox News host named Jesse Waters took this propaganda to a stratosphere we haven't quite reached before. On a show called The Five, he offered what can only be described as a theological justification for why the collapse doesn't matter and why Trump's presidency is actually evidence of divine will.
This clip.
But it is, it's like you get the UFC at the White House, you get the Olympics in Los Angeles, and now you get the World Cup. It's almost like God gave us COVID to kick Trump out so he could reemerge again and oversee this wonderful 4 years of birthday parties, international sporting events, and Octagon. If you doubted there was a God,
Oh, gosh.
this is evidence there is God.
This is a primetime Fox News host arguing that divine intervention required a global pandemic that killed 7.1 million people, that God's plan involved the suffering, death, and economic disruption of COVID specifically so that Trump could return to power, and the purpose of Trump's return so he could organize birthday parties at the White House and build a fighting cage on the South Lawn. This isn't sarcasm. This isn't irony. This is a genuine theological argument being presented on national television as fact. This is what propaganda looks like when it divorces itself entirely from reality and enters the realm of pure fantasy. When there's nothing real to defend, when the numbers are indefensible, when the actual policy record is catastrophic, you eventually retreat into mysticism, into fantasy, into claims that can't be fact-checked because they're not even factual statements. They're just vibes. They're just energy. They're just faith-based arguments about why up is actually down and down is actually up.
Propagandist Jesse Waters attacking California Governor Gavin Newsom for, you tell me what they're even talking about here. Here, play this clip.
Have you ever seen a man sit like Gavin Newsom?
Weak, dainty men that have weak policies that create disaster.
Think about what we're actually witnessing here. Trump's approval has collapsed to 36%. Even Republicans' approval of him has plummeted to 84%, the lowest point of his second term. Women in his own party are considering early retirement from Congress because they feel abandoned by his administration. The MAGA coalition that carried him to power is fragmenting. The political ground is shifting underneath him. And the response? Fake medals, celebration of logistical events as political victories, a full-scale propaganda campaign attacking opposition governors, and finally, when all the spin fails, theological arguments about why God needed to kill millions to bring Trump back for parties. The evidence is staring us in the face. The numbers are there. The approval rating collapse is measurable. The healthcare policy cuts are documented. The tariff-driven price increases are real. The illegal military operations are happening. The fake awards are being presented. The propaganda is being broadcast. And the gap between what Fox News is saying and what Americans are actually experiencing has become so vast that it's almost comical. People are struggling to afford groceries. People are losing healthcare coverage. People are watching their president conduct undeclared military operations and accept fictional honors. And on television, they're being told this is evidence of God's wisdom. This is institutional collapse in slow motion. This is what it looks like when a political movement has exhausted its actual accomplishments and has nothing left but theater. The regime isn't just failing. It's failing while building an increasingly elaborate apparatus of denial, propaganda, and pure fantasy. It's failing while manufacturing medals that don't mean anything. It's failing while celebrating events it didn't create. It's failing while attacking opposition governors instead of addressing the crisis. And it's failing while Fox News provides the soundtrack, a constant stream of distraction, misdirection, and eventually theological justification for the unjustifiable.